You're listening to Nothing Small About Business, where big thinking meets real world action. Ready to level up? Let's get into it.
Today's guest is the owner of KMA Agency, a Chicago-based creative firm helping brands refine their voice and visual identity. She's also the founder of EmpowerHer Chicago, a women-founded community designed to elevate, connect, and support women in business and leadership. She's also a dear friend of mine, and I'm so grateful to have her here today. So welcome, Kim DiFranco, to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for having me. I feel like we've been thinking about this for a long time.
Yes, and now here we are. It's coming to fruition.
I love it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so there's so much that we can cover today, and I'm really excited that listeners are going to be able to walk away with actionable items that they can apply to their business. But first, walk us through your earlier days working in media and how that's now come full circle to launching your agency.
Yes. Okay. So, going way back in time, I started in corporate America. I went to Loyola University for college, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I got lucky and got a job at Reuters News in Chicago. And I feel like that launched my career. Okay. I learned more there than I learned in a lot of different areas in my life.
Crash course on life.
Literally. And news and global news and just the people I was around, the rooms I was in, all of that played a big part in developing and growing professionally and personally. Okay. So Reuters News was great. I did that for a lot of years, but I found that I wanted to be in marketing and advertising, and I was more on the financial side of it. So I ended up getting a job at the Chicago Tribune, and that's kind of where advertising and marketing developed and where I learned a lot about branding and different types of business and things like that.
Okay. And so with all that experience in those different areas of media, then how does that come full circle? When did you decide to launch KMA? How did that come about?
Oh gosh. Okay. So that early corporate job that I had was before I had kids. Okay. So then fast forward, I got married. I had 3 kids, and I was a stay-at-home mom. I decided I wanted to build with my kids and be there and be present on their daily, routines. So as I was doing that, I still had this like niche to want to do something. So I took on another job. I worked for AOL for a while. I did their neighborhood community, patch.com. It still exists today.
Oh, yes. I've heard of that.
Yeah. And I enjoyed it. It was local news, and I was working with small businesses building their advertising campaigns. So I kind of shifted from big corporate budgets to like small local businesses in the North Shore. My territory was like Glenview and above. So I just enjoyed that, and I was able to do both. So after that, I started doing some freelance, and I took on little small projects, things like that. So KMA wasn't born until much later.
Okay. And so when you're working with these different brands, are you pulling from your previous experience with it? I mean, the industry changes so much all the time. What did you pull from your past experiences that you're bringing into your brand today?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my earlier stages, I worked for a media agency and learned all about brand identity and would take clients through a discovery process on how to pull out their unique, authentic brand. So I got a lot of training in my corporate life that I was able to translate into my business. And I felt like it was interesting because I could work with a business and we could decide right then and there how we were going to move forward with their brand identity, with how they want to appear in the world and how they want to kind of showcase their own business. It was so much easier than having to work with a bigger company and try to go through all of the red
tape everywhere. Totally. Right. You can make decisions and implement them probably so much faster, with small businesses or startups, as opposed to somebody that's been established business for a long time.
And the other part about it that I loved is the building relationship aspect of it. So then it's like you're building a relationship with someone, you're learning about their business, you're starting to like really get to know them and what they're all about. So there's a more personal touch to it, which is more, at the end of the day, I feel like it's more empowering.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that absolutely makes sense. So when you're guiding these small businesses and these startups and like you're bringing them through pivotal moments, how would you describe your overall approach with how you work with these brands to understand, what their messaging is, who they are. Like, what does that process look like?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, a lot of times I know these people. They'll either I'll meet them at a dinner or they'll come to me through another client. There's usually some kind of word of mouth, and that's how I get to meet them. I very rarely, I don't solicit business. I don't have any sales funnels. I don't do anything like that. I really am hard to find, I think. So when I do get that lead or that warm handover, it's nice for me because they already sort of know the background of what I've done or what I'm doing. And then we just go in and it's more of like an interviewing process for them.
Okay.
Learning about their business, their archetypes, their brand that they already have established. Sometimes they're in a position where they're halfway through a brand and they don't like what is going on and they want me to come in. I feel like my approach is more consultative. I come in as a consultant and I look at everything that they're doing. I talk to their employees and we look to see where we can grow, evolve, and develop.
Do you find that a lot of these business owners, maybe in their head, they have one idea of like, oh, this is who I am, or this is how I come across. But after a discovery process, you're like, actually, I don't see that at all. I feel like you're more this type of person. Because I know what, like when I ask different people, like, okay, use 3 words to describe me or my business, you might get something completely different than what you internally feel about yourself. Do you find that when you're working with people?
Yeah, and I find that they don't know because what they do, like I work with, health and wellness. I work in aesthetics. I work in hospitality. Oftentimes they're so busy building that they don't even know who they are as a person, as a business, as a brand, because they're so specialized in what they're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and I think with small business owners, it's so easy to work in your business all the time. There's a million tasks you have to take care of Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So taking a step back and zooming out and then working on your business and not in your business and really looking at it from the angle of what is my messaging that's going out there? I don't know. What are people seeing? What does it look like? What kind of feel are they getting from it? I bet a lot of people don't feel that they have the time to zoom out and really approach that and analyze it.
Right, absolutely. And the other thing is like oftentimes they want to be more well-known. They want more business. So they're coming to me and it's we call it branding, but like it's also like building business and building a message internally that they can put out there to the public and be able to captivate attention. And I feel like nowadays with social media, people can do it for much less money. They don't have to spend a ton of money on their advertising budget. They can, especially for the small businesses that don't have the budgets, they can do it very, grassroots.
Like grassroots,
yeah,
right.
They can get a Canva. They can have their receptionist post. They can do all those things.
My teenage daughters are great at content. I'm like, help me out.
Right, but that doesn't always correlate into what they're looking to do when they're not bringing all of that together and making it seamless. So sometimes you have to bring a professional in to look over everything and say, okay, this is what we're lacking. This is what we can do, and make those changes from the ground up.
Well, and I imagine when you look at small businesses or startups, it probably can feel very sporadic. I know what I used to be like, oh, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. And then there's no consistency there. And so maybe the brand messaging isn't coming across as clearly because you're just throwing things and seeing what sticks. We do that with our optometry practice sometimes. We'll do like a more funny video, or then we'll do more informational. And we are just starting now to look at more of like the overall picture and be like, what kind of messaging are we putting out there? What vibe do we want to have? What kind of office do we want to be? And so I think it really like takes zooming out and having somebody that can come in and describe that for you, like pull it out of you. And is that through like an interview process that you say you do with people?
Yeah, so that's really interesting because it's a lot of times people need to, like, the owner of the business isn't talking to everyone in the business every day. They're focused on what they're doing. And so having a third party come in and kind of even just sit back and analyze the situation and look at what's happening inside the office can be a complete and total game changer for the owner who's trying to go in a certain direction. So
it's something could be right in front of you and you don't see it because you're so in it that it could be right in front of you and you're like, oh my gosh, that makes sense. How have I never done this before? Or why have I been doing it this way? When clearly that's not the best strategy.
Right. Yeah. So it's nice to come in and kind of look at the bigger picture and then talk to everyone individually. So, I worked with a chiropractor for a long time and she's very successful. She does a great job. She sees probably 200 clients a day, patients a day. I mean, I don't know how she does it. Like from morning till night, people are just a revolving door.
That's awesome.
And she's got massage therapy and acupuncture. She has a front desk. I mean, it runs very efficiently, but she doesn't know what's going on in acupuncture or what's happening with massage therapy. So to bring all of that together and to make it seamless, it takes some time to get to know everybody and to hang around the office for a little bit and jot some things down.
Right. And see like different perspectives, like those different roles have different forward facing with the clients or patients. So they might see something different than what the business owner would see with that. And a lot of times I think with these business owners, they're really good at the business that they're running, right? They went to either like med school and they're doing this. They went to this kind of training and they know X, Y, and Z really well, but that doesn't mean that they know how to run a business and how to do branding and how to do marketing. And so I think it is really important to make sure that all those areas are buttoned up because you can't be an expert in everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like, what are some of the first things that somebody should think about when they're developing a brand identity?
Well, some of the first things they should think about is it goes way beyond logos and signs,
Colors and fonts.
All of that is important. It really is, but there has to be a deeper connection there, and that's why building a relationship with the owner is so important to me because they know they have a logo, they know that they have a font, they know what they want, and getting that to match their vision takes time. And there is a process involved and there's a way that we go about developing that brand. And so they have to commit to me and I have to commit to them because I have to meet with them numerous times to get this,
to pull it out.
Yeah.
Because I would imagine if they're like, oh, I like this look, I want to be this vibe, but it's not authentic, that's going to come across completely different. People are going to read right into that if it's not authentic to who that person is, which bleeds into every aspect of their business.
Right. So the authenticity is very important. But besides that, like the process we go through is the same with everyone, but it's what the owner is telling me and what they're doing and how they're operating on a regular basis is what makes them different. So I always go in and I always ask like, what are your differentiators? And oftentimes they don't even know what that means. So I like to come up with differentiators, and especially in the market, because I know you asked me this before when we were kind of like talking through this, you asked a really good question about what is the difference between branding and marketing. And I do both, right? But I know the difference. The difference is that branding is building out your brand to put out to the public. Marketing is learning, researching, market analysis. They're two very different things, but they both need each other and they both work really well together. So oftentimes, people will think I'm a marketing agency and they'll think we're just putting ads out there. Really and entirely, like I'm a marketing and branding agency where we're doing both. So it's almost like when I meet with you, I learn about your brand, your personal brand, and then we develop that. But then we also look at strategy for your business in the marketplace and how we're going to go about that.
And I guess it would make sense to do the branding piece first and make sure you're really buttoned up there before you push into the marketing piece. Because if you don't have that authenticity and you don't really know what you're doing, I imagine the marketing would fall a little bit flat. Whereas if you have that branding piece locked up and you know what you're doing and your messaging is very clear and you know who your customer is, your marketing is going to flow and produce much better results because you're just that much more strategic.
Totally. And people spend so much money on marketing when when they don't have a budget. They think if they do some marketing, they'll be able to get new business. And it's all about getting new business. So I've gone in and consulted with companies in small businesses where they're spending their budget on Facebook and all these other avenues like Facebook ads, and they're not getting the demographic that they're looking for because it's just a mass advertisement. They have to be able to build a brand with integrity, authenticity, put that out to the marketplace, and then see who comes through that channel. not through just posting, blanket Canva ads.
Right. That people
and
can
trying
now,
to get
yeah.
a quality candidate to come in through your pipeline.
And
It doesn't
I
work that
feel
way.
like people can see right through that now. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, you didn't really try.
And they'll be-
this feels very cold. This doesn't feel like an authentic person coming in, and now you have a good feel for who they are and what their business is and what they stand for.
100%.
I love seeing those things on like Instagram where they show like the different cans. So there's like, this is what the food looked like before they went through a rebrand and it only sold X amount. Then they do a full rebrand and now it's like $1 billion company. I love seeing those. And it's like the same product is inside. The packaging is what's completely different. The feel is different.
Yeah. And that's a whole nother animal, is the packaging, especially when you're in that industry with beauty, any kind of package, it sells.
I see it with my kids.
Look at Sephora, right? TikTok.
Right.
It's like,
look
all
what
over
happened.
there.
Right.
So yeah, you have to really get that right. And when you're working with your product and being able to make it look desirable, and there's so many touch points to it. Branding's feelings. It's the way that it makes you feel when you use the product. It's so many more things than just the surface level.
The surface, right? It's digging below and seeing, almost like getting all the 5 senses in and like, what are people going to experience with your product?
I always say that. Yeah. Taste, touch, smell.
All of it. It all matters. So if somebody's feeling like, oh my gosh, I haven't even put thought into this for my company, and they know it's time for like a rebrand, like when do you know when a good time is for a rebrand? Are there any times that it's not good to do a rebrand?
Oh, that's a good question. I always feel like I get pulled in at like the damage control position, where the business owner's already tried, like threw everything against the wall, has sponsored things for lots of money, and has done so many different things, and nothing tends to work. And then I feel like I come in as more of a consultant, and I'm like, okay, what did you do?
They're like, here's the dumpster fire, put it out and grow my business. Thank you.
What worked, what didn't work? And oftentimes too, and this is pretty cool, like the business owners are so in the weeds with what they're doing that they're not able to always execute some of the bigger picture things that they want to do. So I was working with an amazing wellness brand, and she had some phenomenal differentiators for her business that I think she just thought were standards, and they're not. I've been to many wellness centers. They were not standards. And those made her so different. And I loved talking about that. She also mentioned that she hadn't hosted an event and had wanted to for a number of years. And I was like, okay, so like, let's talk about your brand. You have a lot in place, but let's talk about how we're going to make this work. So we ended up hosting a wellness event. We ended up pulling all of the things that she wanted, all of her differentiators, into that event. We put together a panel. So brand doesn't always look like your logo. It doesn't always look like your pixels. It does not always look like that. Sometimes it looks like an event.
Right. And going with that, if she is working in her business all the time, the curse of knowledge is there, where you think this is the standard. Everybody knows about wellness. They know about hormones. They know about all these things. Whereas you can come in and be like, no, they don't. That's the curse of knowledge, because you know that so well, but that's not going to be what the average person knows. So we do need to educate them here. And that might be something that business owners don't fully grasp because they're in it every single day.
Right. Absolutely. And within their industry, they're in it. So they, because they have certain guidelines doesn't mean that everybody else does too. And when you do have those high expectations and those guidelines that are great, you really want to showcase that and put it out to the public.
Right. And I think there's also something to the mental load. So somebody that's running their business day to day, they know they need to be doing these things, but the mental load, they're like, by the end of the day, I'm exhausted. I can't even put any more thought into it. So I think what's really cool about what you're doing and what's really helpful is that you're like, that's not your job to do. Let me come in and be the expert in that and help pull that out of you, and also help motivate. It's like when you have that person doing it with you that really knows what they're doing, it can take a huge piece of the mental load off of, okay, I'm not climbing this mountain by myself and throwing something at the wall to see what sticks. You're coming in, getting everybody excited, putting it together. And I feel like that just produces such a different result than somebody who's exhausted at the end of the day saying, okay, what am I going to put out on social media tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love pulling out the best in people. I love when I do interviews and I get to pull out like the best in people, and then we showcase that.
I love that.
Yeah, it's fun.
So one other area that I want to jump into, so switching gears a little bit, is that over the past year, you founded an amazing group called EmpowerHer Chicago. So tell me how that came about, how that interacts with KMA Agency, and where you see that going in the future.
Oh, good questions. So I founded or co-founded EmpowerHer Chicago with my business partner, Danielle Rose. And it started as an idea of wanting to host like a brunch series and getting women together. Because what I found as I'm building KMA is that there was no connection to other women in business and entrepreneurs. I was working with businesses and small businesses, and I was delivering product to these small businesses, but I didn't have my own network of people that I could bounce ideas off and talk to about different trends and things like that. Most of all of the knowledge I was getting would be from like a podcast or from a friend or whatever the case may be. So EmpowerHer Chicago was born through that process.
I love that you're like, I'm not having the conversations and sitting at the tables I want to, so I'm going to build the table and we're going to bring everyone to it. I love that. You're such a doer.
I love it. Well, and I was getting invited to the wrong tables. I was like, book club. I don't want to drink a bottle of wine on a Tuesday.
See, I do love a book club. Bring me, yes.
I never read the book.
Right. Oh my gosh, you're funny. Right. And so you built the table. So tell me about how that then came about. How do you find the people that sit at the table?
Yeah, totally. So I ended up meeting Danielle Rose, amazing, professional in real estate. Had a lot of experience in events and things like that, and also just had the same drive as me. Like, nothing's going to get in your way. We both have 3 kids.
She has such a confident, positive energy.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm like, and when you have a family, for whatever reason, when you're trying to do business, sometimes you'll find that, things get in the way. And that's understandable. Things do get in the way. But when you're trying to build a business, you have to adjust and make sure that's handled and then keep moving forward, Right. And I always say, like, being an entrepreneur is like, it's the most exhausting job. So getting back to the EmpowerHer thing, I did. We did it together, and we did it through wanting to connect women with other high-level women. I wanted to curate a table where I had a Rolodex of women that were in business, attorneys, doctors, tax. I didn't have that Rolodex.
So you built it.
and I needed to have it to be able to be successful, not only as an entrepreneur, but as a woman in business. And I wanted to lean on other women who were doing it at a high level and connect us together. Like I literally have a concierge doctor in my phone now. I have a woman who handles tax and rights programs in my phone. I mean, it's amazing what has come out of this. I have attorneys. I mean,
on speed dial,
and they come to these events and they meet people
and they get excited about it.
Yeah,
right?
And I see them post about it. I see them collaborate together. I'm just like in awe about it.
Well, as someone who's attended your events, I can say that it's such a nice curated group that you really leave there with the strong connections. Because sometimes you can go to networking events and you end up just talking to the person you're with because you're like, this is so awkward. I don't want to small talk and I don't know what to say. And then you leave and you're like, I got nothing out of that. But what I like about your events is that you set the tone for them and it's a very warm environment and you leave there feeling like empowered. I mean, that's why the name of your group is so good because it kind of describes exactly the feeling you leave walking out of there.
Thank you. Yeah, we really want people to feel like it can be so daunting getting ready and going to a networking event of women and walking into a room with brand new women and having
what am I going to wear?
Yes.
I didn't do my nails today.
Should I get my makeup done? Like, we live in a world of there's a lot of aesthetics going on, right? Behind the scenes. But what we found is that these women love to connect with each other. And a lot of them have stepped out of their comfort zone and show up like alone. They come by themselves and they leave with a group of friends. And then I see them evolve on social media together. I mean, it's amazing.
It's so cool to see that come full circle. And I think that's good for listeners to hear that if they don't have the contacts they want, if they're not in the rooms they want to be at, if they don't like the table they're sitting at lunch, you're in control of those. So it's up to you to make those changes. Those aren't just going to fall into your lap. You don't all of a sudden walk into a room and have the red carpet laid out for you. So I love hearing that you had the awareness around wanting to see a change and then you made it happen.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, first of all, we had no idea what we were in for when we hosted our first event. Like, you never really know, right? You have an idea, a vision of what you want to do. What I love about EmpowerHer Chicago is that we're curating a community of women and we're staying in touch with each other and we're continuing to host events. I love that I can bring my branding into it. I do all of the advertising. I create all of the content. I love that aspect of it. And it makes me in my business a little bit more passive in terms of like advertising. I'm not out there advertising. I do branding, advertising, marketing.
When it feels more organic.
Yeah. So that was something that I really liked, that it worked together. And then what we've built over the last year, and it's not even been a year yet, we're going to do a big birthday party.
Oh, heck yeah.
But what
Yeah,
we've
you
built
are.
over this calendar year has been incredible. And
Well, once you get the ball rolling, it kind of takes off and then it grows, and where you put your intention grows. So
it's very cool. And we're trying to align too with like organizations and give back. So we did something recently with with a state senator, and she's very well connected with the like a food pantry.
Okay.
And so I like to be able to give back when we can. And that's important to me too. So this gives us a platform to do that.
Oh, I absolutely love that. So where do you see, so like for people that might not be in Chicago or they're in Chicago, how important is it for people to find that community? Do you feel like, because sometimes business owners can feel like they're on an island, or entrepreneurs are like, it's just me. And what impact have you seen for these women that like by forming a community of like-minded people?
Yeah, well, I've heard through some of the women who are part of our community. One lady has relocated from Texas. She has a caviar brand, and she came to one of our events as an activation. People loved her caviar. She was so approachable. The quality was amazing. She's female founded, and we just loved her. And she just said, like, the connections I've met at your community has opened up doors for me. And I'm like here from Texas. I don't know anybody. So I love being able to give people that opportunity to just be able to build and meet people and not feel so overwhelmed I have to go to another networking event.
Right, because that could be daunting. If you're like, I don't want to network. I'm exhausted at the end of the day. I don't want to talk to anybody else. But what I love is that at those kind of events, you're not just walking into a room and talking and there's nothing to do. These activation stations, I feel like, are really important because it provides almost like an activity. So it's natural conversation. You're talking to the person next to you as you're doing a caviar bump, like it's fun. It's like lightening the mood, and it's giving something to talk about. So how can brands, so on the flip side, so attending obviously is great and very beneficial, but on the flip side, what's something that like small businesses can do? Like, can you give us an example of like, if a small business was going to partake in a networking event or an EmpowerHer event, like what are things they can do and how do they benefit from that?
Like in terms of how they can help with sponsoring or
right,
things like that.
What are some things they can do to get that high value experience as opposed to just throwing out random sponsorships and things like that?
Yeah, so we try to curate our events very specifically. So not every business fits, right? So we try to partner up with the right partners that would be able to have it be mutually beneficial, where it's a win-win for both of us, and it makes sense. And that kind of is a strategy that I've used and developed, where we curate smaller events. We're actually going into this whole dinner series, and we partnered with some really amazing hospitality partners, and we'll have a sponsor for a table, and it's only going to be one sponsor, and it has to fit the criteria of the event in the evening. So we try to make it meaningful for the people attending, and we try to make it intentional so that they walk away feeling like, okay, I've learned a lot now from this, and I've also met amazing women, and I'm also buying the ticket because this is applicable to what I'm trying to do with my business.
Right, and I love that you're keeping it small. You're not walking into a room of 150 people. you're walking into and you're sitting at a curated table, that's going to be very different conversations. So, for small businesses, sometimes it's not about sponsoring that big event where you're like, my logo is amongst 4,000 other logos. Like sometimes it's nice to sponsor those because you're like, I just want to give to the community. But are they actually getting any business out of those things? I don't know. Whereas maybe a more thought out, curated event, you are getting like, say there's 10 people there, those are 10 really good relationships that are probably going to use your business or recommend you when somebody comes to them.
Right. Like I can give you an example for next year. So I'm already working through Q1, Q2, and one of the dinners is really going to be about finance. So women that want to learn more about their own finances, right? They want to be able to build their net worth. They want to be able to build their business. They want to be able to save on their taxes. So we're going to do a finance, women in business, round table. And we'll have some keynote speakers there that are in the industry that run their own businesses that are female. And we'll have a sponsor that's applicable. And women who buy the ticket are the ones looking for that.
Like specifically looking for it. Right. Yeah, that makes such a difference.
So it's a little bit more customizable. Not only that, then you're paired with beautiful wine and dinner. And it's just
the atmosphere.
The overall experience is so good.
Right, which changes the entire vibe of the room. So I love that, when business owners, you think you have to wear every single hat. And I think it's really important to find mentors that are the experts in their field and listen to them. One piece of advice that I got before was like, your mentors don't have to be people that you know and talk to on the phone. They can be a podcast host. They could be different books that you read. But you don't have to be the expert in everything. And leaning on people that know what they're doing and finding the right people, I think, is so key to putting the whole puzzle of your business together.
Absolutely. You cannot, it's like they always say, it takes a village, and it really does. You need to have a good network. I always go back to the Rolodex, because back in corporate America, I had
I'm like, what's a Rolodex?
I know. It totally ages me. Back in corporate America, I had a boss, and it literally was a Rolodex. Like it sat on your desk and it was like a circle. You spun through it.
I feel like I need one of these.
It was like a card catalog. And he literally gave me the best advice. He was like, in business, no matter where you end up, and I was young, I was like 25. He was like, no matter what you end up doing, never burn a bridge in business and always keep the number of the people you meet in your Rolodex. Because you never know, right? So like,
bring back the Rolodex.
My Rolodex was gone when I had kids. It was irrelevant, and I'm like, I need more relevancy, and so we're building one right now.
You build it. So you're building that Rolodex. That's what I'm going to buy you for your birthday. It's a nice old school Rolodex. I love that. Are there any last tips you want to give business owners before we wrap up?
All I would suggest is, have fun with what you're doing. You're building your own business and your own brand. Be authentic to who you are. Don't try to copy the business down the street that does something similar to what you're doing. Be your own person in your business and find out what your differentiators are. What makes you different than the guy next door who's doing the same thing?
I love that because people can get boggled down in like, there's a million real estate agents. There's a million of these kind of business owners. There's a million, med spas. But there's always going to be, there's a bajillion people on this planet. Like that's a great tip of like, what's your differentiator? Because no one's reinventing the wheel here, but people are going to come to you because of who you are and what your brand stands for.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just be as clear as you possibly can when you're putting information out there so people can understand. And if you don't know how to do it, reach out to a real professional. You can go, I think you can go very far.
Right. And if people feel like they can't afford that, but you almost can't afford not to, because if you're not going, you don't know what kind of business you're missing out on by not having everything buttoned up.
Yeah, absolutely. And just transactional ad sales, I mean, I'm sure it is great in a lot of ways, but when you're really trying to build, you need to start with your brand.
Okay. So we are almost out of time, but I like to end every episode with a fill in the blank. So the fill in the blank is, there's nothing small about
building your own business.
I love that. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yes. So there's nothing small about investing in yourself and building out your own business, if it's something that resonates with you, I just feel like pour into yourself and grow and develop. There's enough for all of us out there. And you really can do amazing things if you trust yourself.
Oh, I love that. So where can people find you if they want to get more information about EmpowerHer or your KMA agency? Where can they find you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, and you can also find me on social media just by searching up my name, or EmpowerHer Chicago is a great place to start.
And we'll link all these in the bio in the show notes.
And then I have a website, so there's ways to find me.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'm sure we're going to have you on again so we can dive even deeper into all these things. But I think there's a lot of good takeaways for people to even just take it, zoom out and start thinking about. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. And we'll have to do this again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Nothing Small About Business. Make sure you follow the show so you don't miss the value in upcoming episodes. Share this with someone who's growing, and connect on socials for more.